You thought he was done? You thought the takes were too hot to handle? You better think again. He's back with even more scorching opinions, more controversial predictions, and the kind of truth bombs that only Zain Bando can deliver. If you missed the first round, prepare yourself. This is the follow-up you've been waiting for. It's time for Zain Zinger Part 2, another certified hit from the Empty the Bench Network. Here's your host, Zain Bando.
Welcome back, everyone, to a new edition of Zain Zinger Part 2 for Sunday, June 21st. Hope you all are doing well on this fine Sunday morning. We have a special guest today, the PFL CEO, John Martin. It was a very engaging discussion. We talked about a lot of stuff. They have a bunch of upcoming events for the month of late June and July as well. A bunch of stacked cards from Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C., and of course, San Diego, California. Got into a lot of different things, including what a potential new partnership with a new TV partner could look like for them in 2027. Of course, there's not a whole lot more detail that John could go into, but he did give his ideal scenario with what he would like to see in a TV partner. So stay tuned for that. That was a very exciting discussion. He did pitch to me sort of why a new MMA fan should try to take a look at going to a PFL event is, of course, they are very affordable as opposed to some other MMA promotions as well. We got into the PFL Nigeria show that was this past weekend. We got into a lot of stuff in the about 30 or so minute conversation. So excited for you guys to check it all out. It was a very good discussion. The next major PFL event will be taking place in San Diego at the end of the month. So at the time that you guys are seeing this, the San Diego event is about a week away. We did touch on that just a little bit as well. And he was a pleasure to speak to. He was literally outstanding and could not have been nicer with his time. He's doing great work over on the PFL side as well. So you will see this interview in full on today's episode. So stay tuned for that as well. Hope you enjoy the interview. If you're new to the MMA scene, the PFL is the second biggest promotion behind the UFC. So think of the UFC as the NFL, and maybe the PFL is like, I don't know, how would you compare it in football terms? Maybe the UFL or something of that sort. It's a different brand of MMA. It's essentially all of the fighters who are in the PFL now. Some are good enough to be in the UFC, while others are prospects that are building their careers up. They have some major names coming up in the pipeline that are going to be really good, and some that, you know, are some of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, a la Johnny Eblen and, of course, Usman Nurmagomedov. So stay tuned for this entire interview. It was literally outstanding. I was very grateful to be able to speak with him, and it was awesome. So stay tuned for it, and once again, for those who don't know, you can catch this episode and or replay right now over on Twitter and YouTube. It's being beamed out to a bunch of different X platforms, as well as on the YouTube side over at the ETV network as well. And of course, stay tuned in MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated for a story on this, as it was a fun episode to be able to just, you know, go ahead, shoot it with him a little bit. And yeah, very, very fun, riveting discussion, and just overall a pleasure to speak to. Very nice guy, and someone who I look forward to speaking to in the future when more events pop up. They have a busy summer coming up. Couldn't really tease me what's going on in the fall, but looks like they're on the right path to do some big things, and very excited to see just sort of how it all plays out. So without further ado, on the other side of this, stay tuned for a new edition, new exclusive interview on Zain Zinger Part 2. And of course, later on, for those who want to read about it, go over to MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated. In about the next week or so, you will see a brand new exclusive interview with John Martin. But for now, here is the full video interview with PFL CEO John Martin on the other side. We will be right back soon. Happy to be joined by my next guest on the program today, the CEO of the Professional Fighters League, John Martin. John, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time out. I know it's a really busy summer for you guys, so I'm excited to chop it up and kind of see what the second half of the year is going to look like for you, and just overall how your first overall year, with you assuming your new role has been, and so far, and just really anything you wanted to talk about.
Terrific. Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Yeah, for sure. So just to get started with everything, you have a really busy summer of fights coming up. Can you just kind of talk about overall the stacked July and just kind of how it came together?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm excited about this part of the summer right now because we're going to start to have, 4 or 5. You're going to see we'll have some new event announcements coming. We've got a really, really busy summer starting at the end of June in San Diego, and then we're going to have 3 consecutive events in the United States that will have championship fights at the top of the card, and so super excited to be able to showcase champions and championship fights in the United States. The U.S. is a big priority for us this year. So looking forward to getting out and seeing all the fans and getting them fully reacquainted with PFL.
For sure. And I think since you guys have changed your format, which is something I've been really pleased with, making sure that, it's full cards and it isn't really bogged down by tournament formats, because I personally thought that, in previous years with the tournament format, even before you got here, it was a cool concept at first, but I just felt like there were some things that made it a whole lot more confusing. So I think crowning champions is the way to go. And I just wanted to commend you for that, because I think a lot of the fan sentiment before you got to the position you're at now is kind of like, okay, what direction is the PFL going to turn into? And I feel like you've done a good job of that so far. So is the goal by early 2020s, to mid-2027 to have a champion crowned in every single weight division?
Yes. Quick answer is yes. And we made a lot of progress this year. So we've got, I believe, 3 weight classes with vacant championships in the men's division, in bantamweight and featherweight, and then in the women's flyweight division. And yes, so early 27, no later than mid-27, I hope to be crowned champions by early. And so every card that we're putting on this year, if it doesn't have a championship at the top of the card, it has fights that will have championship implications.
Right.
And that's what's so exciting to us. This year, not only did we step away from the tournament and establish weight classes with championship implications and champions, but we've also we've introduced rankings. We've made the format and the promotion of the PFL to look a lot more close to what combat sports has looked like for decades. And that was by design, and it's on purpose. And, we've made investments in our production and our in-event arena type of show. We want to delight fans. We've made a number of new exciting new signings, which we'll be talking more about. We're trying to really elevate every aspect of the PFL promotion. And there are signs that it's really succeeding. So I'm quite pleased.
Yeah, and I'm tell me if I'm picking up on this correctly, but I've sort of noticed you guys are starting to really hit these smaller it's some of these markets that don't really get consistent mixed martial arts all that often. And minus where I'm from, of course, is the goal to take the PFL to cities and states that simply have either never had it or have not had consistent MMA, because I think as you continue to hit some of these states that maybe don't get as many cards, I think it'll start to catch on a little bit, especially if it becomes more of like a traveling roadshow in the United States, which is what it's sort of starting to feel like. And I think that's a real positive. Do you feel very similarly about that?
Yes. The short answer is yes. So I'd say a couple of things. First of all, outside of the U.S., we're going to continue to push geographical boundaries and go to places that have worked for us in the past, worked really well, like Brussels, for example, and Belfast.
Right.
But then also we went to Madrid, Spain for the first time earlier this year. And that was a huge success for us. And it was the first time that there was a real premium MMA event in the country of Spain, believe it or not. So I want to balance that outside of the U.S. And then inside of the U.S., it's a combination too of returning to cities where we've been in the past and have worked well, and then tried new cities too. But your point is well taken in the sense that I do think that there are plenty of places in the U.S. That are underserved and have really passionate MMA fan bases. And we saw that in Pittsburgh, for example, even Chicago, which is not a small market. We had a fantastic showing there and sold out the WinStar Arena. And Sioux Falls, we had a sold out show. And in the summer, I think you're going to see us fill arenas, and I think that's important to the U.S. viewer, even over television, to see bigger events here in the U.S. And you can get a sense of the energy that's in the arena almost through the television set. So this is all part of the plan, and so far the early results are quite positive.
Yeah, for sure. And just to sort of get a pulse as to where you guys are headed, so far we've done about 10 shows this year. Is the goal to do 24 by the end of the year, or are you looking to do a little bit more? Or are you looking to do fewer than that? What are you kind of thinking?
I think it's going to be about 24.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, pending events that are outside the U.S. because there's some areas we have a MENA joint venture, Middle East, Northern Africa. Obviously, that area of the world is still a little bit hit or miss with regard to the combat activities that are happening there. But hopefully there'll be peace, and we'll get all of the 4 events from MENA in this year. And the rest of it, we'll do 24 events this year. And I'll be looking to scale up and do more in 2027. Okay.
And just sort of kind of picking back over to some of my July points that I was going to expand upon from earlier, is the goal moving forward to sort of have a weekly to every other week event schedule, or is that just sort of how it worked out in July, where you're doing 3 stacked events, 3 weekends in a row, all with this attached to them? Because when I saw that you were going 3 weekends in a row, I'm like, oh, that's pretty unusual, but it's better than going 1 week and then having 4 weeks off and then trying to resume again. So I thought that was very interesting. Is that going to be a trend moving forward, or is that just simply how it worked out?
It was by design this year, and I wanted to see if we build momentum by having an event per week. And the summer historically has been a good time of year for PFL. The sports calendar in general in the U.S. is quite crowded, and the UFC is putting on a lot of shows, and we don't have the visibility to be able to avoid the UFC on all of our time slots, because we're working with ESPN and making sure that they have the capacity to put us on. But going forward, we'll try to find our spots and do it in a way where we can reach as many people in as many ways as possible. I think the summer is good, and I think we'll know a lot more about how that worked at the end of the summer. We'll look back on it and assess it. But I think, coming into this year, into 2026, the PFL had not held an event in the United States in about 7 or 8 months. That's too long. We can't be out of market for that long. So I like the idea of having a much more routine, maybe not every other week exactly, but having a cadence where we're putting on events every month. People could follow us.
That's outstanding. Let's sort of highlight one of them, if we can, the Impa Kasaga and Johnny Eblen rematch that's taking place in Texas. I know you had to make a decision with the whole CVS situation. Is the plans that the winner will fight Van Steenis when Van Steenis is healthy? Is that still the plan?
I think that's a good assumption. I mean, Costello unfortunately got injured. Yep. And, we have a lot of heat right now on the middleweight division in the PFL. It's a division that I identified earlier this year as I think it's as good as any promotion in the world, including the UFC. And we've got some fighters that I think could be fighting for UFC championships if they were there. And I only use the UFC as the example because they're the biggest promotion.
No, I get it.
So, I want to keep momentum in that division. We've got a lot of talent there. And with Impa fighting Johnny now, I mean, Johnny obviously is fully focused on regaining that belt, right?
Right, exactly.
And Impa, this is not like it's not a short notice fight. This is not a fight.
No, it's not.
This is a real championship quality level fight. And these two deserve to fight for a championship. And yes, when Costello heals up, hopefully before the end of the year, that could provide the next step for whoever's victorious with the interim belt, because eventually we'll unify it for sure. But I think, Impa and Johnny, they fought once. A lot of people don't remember that. It was over 2 years ago, but it was a very close fight. It was a split decision. Impa thinks he won that fight. Obviously, Ebling got the decision. So I think Johnny's coming in and he wants to lay wants to leave no questions unanswered as to who's the better fighter. So I think it's going to be really exciting. Impa had a devastating knockout of Dalton Rasta earlier this year in Pittsburgh. So he's coming in with a lot of confidence. So I think the Austin card is shaped up really well. And we've got every card this summer has got some really exciting fights.
Yeah, and just kind of leading over to one that I know is very personable towards you. Based on other interviews that I've seen of you over the last several weeks, it seems like you're really, really excited for this Long Island card that's coming up at the end of July. And I know you have very, very close ties to there, and that's obviously a very, very stacked card in itself. Is that particularly a location you'd like to keep hitting every single year? Because to be quite honest with you, out of all the cards that you guys are doing next month, I would say that's the one that, at least in my opinion, is the most anticipated and the one that I'm looking forward to the most. So just kind of talk about how the Long Island card came together and just sort of how excited you are to get back there, just given that the ties you have to that area.
Yeah, so I grew up on Long Island. That's what you're referring to, and it's a thrill and a personal pleasure of mine to be able to be leading the PFL and bringing an event there to an arena that, well, the UBS arena is new, but there used to be an older arena out there. I used to go watch the Islanders play all the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited. New York is an important market, as you know. We have a lot of business partners in New York, so it's a great opportunity for us to bring people out to see an event live, because if you've never seen an MMA event live, you can't really understand how exciting it is and how much energy there is in the event. So
1000%.
The way that it came together, though, is, I really wanted to have Usman Nurmagomedov, our lightweight champion, undefeated lightweight champion. I wanted him to fight in the United States this year because I wanted the U.S. fans to really see the elite level quality of talent that we have. And Usman is our pound for pound highest ranked fighter. And then Dakota Ditcheva, who is the most dominant women's name in MMA. She's undefeated. She's 15-0. She's been hurt for the past 9-10 months. So for her to come, I wanted her to fight in the U.S. as well. And to have them both at the top of the card, I think puts the rest of the card in perspective. But we've got, the card in general is pretty deep. And there's a lightweight on the card who I want everybody to sort of keep an eye out for, Amru Magomedov, who made his debut for us earlier this year and had a devastating knockout early in the first round. And so I'm really excited to see him fight. I want to see what he's going to be able to do. And he's fighting Angel Alvarez. So I think from top to bottom, the card looks stacked. And of course, with Usman, and Usman's got a tough fight with Archie Kogan. Archie's an elite NCAA wrestler. It's a rare occasion. You have two undefeated fighters fighting for a championship. So I couldn't be more pleased. Big event for us.
Yeah, it certainly seems like a fight of the year contender for sure. And Usman Nurmagomedov certainly is never in a boring fight. So that's one that I'm really excited for as well. And I know that you have other dates down the pipeline, but just kind of looking at some of these other cards and sort of also looking at the international series, I just wanted to quickly highlight this. I thought the Nigeria show this past Friday was fantastic. What did you think? What did you think of it?
I appreciate you saying that, and I've had. I saw it. I thought the quality of the fights was really good, and the fights were very exciting, and the production quality was very good. When we established PFL Africa, this was before I got here.
Yep.
it was quite an ambitious endeavor because MMA, effectively, PFL is bringing MMA in an organized professional way to the continent of Africa. It's a big place. And oftentimes in the first few years that we've been doing business there, it doesn't have the same infrastructure on the continent that we're used to in a lot of other industrialized countries. So it takes us extra effort and extra investment to be able to put on these high quality fights, but it's working. Like, we're giving local fighters a real platform and giving them an opportunity to pursue their goals. And I thought the Nigerian card worked fantastic. And I will tell you, the number of unsolicited comments I've gotten just over the last few days of people, saying, hey, the White House card was good. What do you think? But also Africa was amazing. So that's very validating to me because it's an ambitious effort that we've gotten ourselves into.
Yeah, and I've noticed for those international shows, and maybe you can comment on this briefly, I've noticed the accessibility of those international shows is on YouTube in the United States from a live standpoint. Is that going to be something that you guys are going to be doing moving forward? Because I also know that for the international series, you have the Vice deal as well. Also, I just wasn't sure. Is YouTube going to be something that you guys are going to continue to use as a vehicle moving forward? Because I think the accessibility of those international shows made it extremely easy just to sort of know what and those international shows are going to be on, and I think that that's really good.
Well, look, I appreciate that. We're in the process of talking to possible partners right now in the U.S. and Vice stepped in very recently and has been a really terrific new early partner for us for the international shows. Yeah. Whether we take all of them and consolidate them with one partner or whether we continue to split those out is really going to be dependent on what makes the most sense for us and the respective partners. I think YouTube is something that, in addition to having a traditional broadcast deal, is something that I'd like to lean into even more heavily. Okay. With regard to just, we have so much shoulder type programming content that we're shooting about the background of the fighters and to give more in-depth knowledge about why these fights make sense and what happens next after the fights are over. And they're on YouTube, but we're not putting a tremendous amount of effort to let people know that they can go and find it there. So I want to, and this is not a next 6 months thing only, but I think YouTube can be a powerful, powerful supplement to everything that we're doing. MMA as a category on YouTube is one of their leading categories in all of sport. So I think it's a big opportunity for us. We have a hard time at our company because we have about 26 partner platform deals. We can be seen in 170 countries. So I'm always asking, we get US numbers, which are based on Nielsen or, the
right. Exactly.
But outside the US, it's very difficult. We get a lot of sort of haphazard information, but when you cum up what people are doing around the world, we have millions of views for every event that we have. And I wish that there was an easier way for us to cum that up quickly and on a timely basis and then report it, because it does demonstrate the global power of mixed martial arts as a sport, which is quite unique. There are not a lot of sports that are as accepted, interesting, universally recognized as MMA. And I think, your comment again on Africa, I appreciate, because I think most people don't even know that we have PFL Africa. And if they watch the event itself, they'd be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, because I was watching and I'm going, wait a minute, there's so many finishes. The pacing of the fights are unbelievable. And by the time that the main event got to where it was, it felt like we really didn't waste any time, because I would watch other PFL international shows before your regime came in, and I go, wait a minute, this show is 7-8 hours and we're just not done yet. So I think another thing that you guys have fixed and you guys have done a really good job of is just making sure that the pacing is up to par with the number of fights you guys have, and I think that that's really good as well. And you sort of did touch on this just a minute ago, just in regards to obviously discussion with partners. I know you didn't do it too much, but I am curious though, because you've been very vocal about this. it's sort of some of your ESPN lead-ins and you not being very, very pleased with sort of what's going on there with that whole thing. I guess if you had your ideal scenario in regards to making the PFL as accessible as possible in the United States, from what you can see, what would be your dream scenario to ensure that everybody knows where they can watch the PFL in the United States and just sort of, or so the consistency of always knowing what and the PFL is going to be on? Because I think with just a slight bit more promotion, I think everybody would know where it is and when it is on a week-to-week or semi-week-to-week basis, and I think that's really important. What do you think?
I think our ratings on a proper platform that has broad distribution with promotion, marketing, with some consistency of scheduling, I honestly believe our ratings could be 4-5x what they are right now on ESPN.
That's outstanding.
Well, I don't have any way to prove that. I'm just saying I look at other comparable programming on platforms that actually do provide adequate promotion, and it's life-changing.
Right.
And for us, it takes a lot of work to find us. And that's TV. I'm not crying sour grapes, but in the perfect world, I've been saying this now for a while, I'd love to find a partner who is willing and sees the promise and sees the opportunity of what we can become for U.S. audiences on TV, not what we are today, and is willing to treat us that way and can provide us with marketing and promotion in addition to higher licensing fees. That would be a massive step in the right direction for us. And we'll get there. I'm very confident that we're going to get there. Our ratings on ESPN thus far this year are actually up year over year, despite our lead-in ratings are down almost 50%. So we have more than made up for a 50% decline on our lead-in to actually modestly grow ratings. Our peak viewership on average is up 37%. Our viewership for the main events and the co-main events are up 33%.
Okay.
So these are really promising figures, and our ticket sales are up, I think, at or near 20% year on year. So like I said, all the changes that we've made, which there's been a lot pretty quickly, it's trending in the right direction. And I think we've got very, very real reason to be excited and optimistic about the future.
For sure. Just a couple more for me before I let you go. Oh, and again, thank you so much for doing this. This has been a very, very informative discussion, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this today. It's sort of wanted to weave into that a little bit more and just say we're in June 2026 right now. By Jan 2027, February 2027, where would you like to see just overall the health of the business be going into next year? And I guess without going into too much detail, do you have a really ambitious goal that you would like to achieve over the next year or so? Is it a location of a certain event that you would like to see? Is it a certain kind of card that you would like to see made? Like, what is your big overall, what's next goal on the horizon that you're more than likely looking forward to as you continue to sort of, feel like you can make this your house and that you are the number one leader of this thing? Because I think the more that you put yourself out there, which you've been doing, I think a lot more people are sort of identifying you as the main face of the PFL. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, look, I appreciate that. I'm the CEO. I'm happy to be, and as part of that, we are promotion. So I'm responsible for the promotion, and we've got a great fighter operations group, but I'm responsible for the matchmaking, and I stand behind everything that we're doing. I think, with regard to me coming in, and I've been here only about 9 months, I think, we've made so many changes that sometimes the organization needs to settle a little bit, and we got to make sure that we're executing. And I'm really pleased that even before you get to objective goals, that just like the organization has settled, we've increased the talent of the people who are here. And as you said, small little things that you picked up on, which a lot of MMA fans pick up on, is pacing. When I came in, I wanted to make the production better and more fan-friendly. And pacing was something that I got frustrated with when I watched the PFL in the past. So we fixed that. And then, but everything. So I want to be able to bring the promotion to new territories geographically. I want to grow the global audience through all of our partnerships and platform partners. I want to start to grow revenues, to start to catch up with our popularity and our audience growth. So, that's part of this U.S. media rights deal. It's part of ticket sales are up considerably. We're signing new sponsorship partners. We've announced recent, very exciting new partners with GovX and that Prize Guy and Arkham we're doing more work with, just to start to scale the revenues to give recognition to the quality MMA promotion that we have. So I'm a pretty ambitious guy. I'm pretty impatient, but I don't have any one or two goals. I want the PFL to grow. I want it to increasingly be seen as a great place by the fighters and the fighting community, that they can come and have a really exciting career with the PFL, that they can be recognized as elite MMA athletes, which they are. And all of that is, I don't have a one-year goal. It's a multi-year goal, but I want to lift and elevate the PFL in the minds of fans and fighters and partners. And that's what we're on the journey to do.
For sure. And just sort of kind of adding along to that, and something I was curious about, because before you got here, it was something that was experimented with, is PFL super fight something you're planning to bring back, or is that it's sort of in the back burner for now? Because that was experimented with, but I don't think it was fully followed through. So I was just curious about that as well.
Yeah, so that's a fair question. I've kind of suspended that idea for this year because I really wanted to get us back to, I want to crown champions in the weight classes that we have. And I thought that was that was an aggressive enough agenda. But I wouldn't rule out super fights. I've had some ideas about things we might be able to bring and fights we may be able to put together. So I wouldn't rule that out. And then the other thing I wouldn't rule out entirely is the possibility over time, maybe reintroducing a Grand Prix tournament. Maybe you take one weight class and you run a mini tournament or something, some stunt to get the fans interested. But right now, I think for the rest of this year, we're going to stay on the path that we're on.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, John. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to chatting with you in the future. Keep up the good work with all of the events that you have coming up, and I hope to see you in Chicago in 2027. It would be nice to link with you for sure.
Amazing. I agree, and thank you for having me, and thanks for the dialogue and the conversation. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, John. Have a good rest of your day and have a good rest of your week for sure.
And you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again to John Martin for his time. Really awesome interview. Got some good insight out of him. Huge MMA fan, obviously. Someone who's been following this sport for over 20 years, has been very vocal about having watched the PFL even before he was the CEO of the company, even before he oversaw the leadership aspect of the company. So someone who really knows the fight game, is a true fight fan, really cares about the sport. And I think that's something that PFL has needed for a long time. Competition is a good thing. And no, I don't mean to sound like I'm glazing them or anything. I genuinely mean that competition is a good thing, and you need fight people to understand what's really going on inside the business and whatnot. So we really got deep into that, which I was extremely grateful for. So shout out to John Martin for all of his time. Let's take a look and do some reads for the ETB network in itself. So let's take care of that when we can. Let's go into what's coming up later tonight with the ETB Lounge. The weekend's almost over, but the conversation is just heating up. Kick back with the ETB Lounge with Kellen McClurg and Nick DiMartino every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join us for our now 2-hour live format where we unite the full panel of ETB hosts to break down a pivotal day in sports, from the prestige narratives of major championships and MLB afternoon slates to the chaos of the NBA playoff picture. Well, now the NBA finals are over, but I'm sure there's going to be some NBA offseason news to discuss. We cover it all, whether you're here for the happy hour prestige or the spillage, where we roast the day's biggest blunders and gambling bad beats. The Lounge is your home for Sports Therapy. Only available on the ETV network. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETV network. And of course, speaking of mixed martial arts, let's plug this as well. Fight IQ with Tom Albano of Deadspin and, of course, MMA News. Step into the cage every Monday night with Tom Albano. Fight IQ breaks down the world of combat sports with the precision of a championship game plan. From analyzing ground control at PFL events to breaking down the technical mastery of the world's best strikers, we covered the technique, the drama, and the business of the fight game. If you want to understand the IQ behind the world's most dangerous athletes, Tom has you covered every Monday night, 7 Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Again, only on the ETB network, youtube.com/ETBNETWRK. So that's going to do it for another edition, though, of Zan Zinger Part 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Zain Bando, of course. You can catch the newest episode of Bando's Breakdowns in about 2 weeks or so. We will be back with episode 96 as I will be away on vacation in Florida. But until next time, this has been a new edition of your favorite Sunday morning coffee stream that we do every single week. And of course, we didn't want to take a week off, but we will be back next week for the episode on, of course, Sunday, June 28th. So stay tuned for all of that and so much more. But until then, I'm Zain Bando. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Hope you enjoy the week ahead that is to come. Hopefully you don't miss me too much as well, but should be a fun time, and we will see you guys soon. Have a good one, everyone, and cheers. Thanks.